Hello, everyone out there. We're back live again, Federal View Live here, talking about Trump's 2018 budget proposal. This time we're joined by Chris Townsend, who's Vice President of Federal for Symantec, and we're going to be talking about what this budget includes about cybersecurity and specifically what it means for the GovCon community around cybersecurity. Oh, and it looks like we had a latecomer as well. We're also going to be joined here by Jeff Greene, who's Symantec's Senior Director of Global Government Affairs. Thanks, Chris and Jeff, for joining us today.
No problem. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm on a loaner computer here, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of echo. Oh, no, now it seems to have fixed itself, so you're good, Jeff. But while Jeff gets himself situated, Chris, we'll start with you. What did you see as you're looking through the budget docs that came out this morning, specifically about cybersecurity?
A couple of very positive developments there. And so we saw significant plus-ups for both Department of Homeland Security and the DoD. And in light of the recent executive order by the administration and creating additional focus around cybersecurity and holding agency heads accountable for cyber enforcement, it's great to see that we're seeing that same level of support within the budget.
Excellent. Jeff, did you see anything in there that jumped out at you?
Yeah, I was really happy to see the focus on IT modernization. I was happy to see that come through from the EO into the budget itself. I think that's a really important long-term project. And also the focus on the NCIC, the National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center. I would say in the past few months, but even in the past few months, we've seen really good ability to improve our sharing bilaterally, several events through DHS and across government. So I'm really happy to see that NCIC is continuing to get the recognition budgetarily that it needs to continue its work.
Yeah, that was one of those programs where when it first started, I was kind of questioning whether we needed another layer like that, but it seems to really be an important function in the IC. So it's good to see that that's getting a little more funding. One of the interesting things that I noticed in the budget, it does call out specifically at DoD the need for more cyber personnel, but a lot of the rest of the budget specifically talks about cutting the federal workforce. So both with the IT modernization push and some of these other things, is this really a push? Is this a boon for the cybersecurity industry, or is this going to make things harder if the workforce is getting cut?
See you guys later. Is that to me or to?
Yeah, either one of you wants to grab.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, do you want to take that one first, or do you want me to jump in?
Sure, I can real quick. I think it can be a little bit of both. The workforce is not a new issue for the government to take up. It was an issue for the Obama administration. It was something the Bush administration raised in the CNCI previously. So not anything new. The bottom line is, yeah, without good people in the chairs, it's going to be hard to get the work done. The technology doesn't work without good, skilled people. There are ways to make use of existing personnel, something that we've looked at internally a bit and had a few events on. But yeah, without the bodies, you're going to be somewhat limited in what you can do. Chris, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to build upon that point, Jeff, and I agree with you 100%. The number one challenge that most of our federal customers have today, they have plenty of tools providing plenty of data. What they don't have is the trained analysts to sort through that data and really focus on what's important to be able to address the cyber threats in real time. So certainly building out the cyber workforce within federal is a key part of beginning to solve the cyber problem that we're seeing.
Interesting. We also looking at the IT breakout in the analytic perspectives. I noticed that DoD is getting about a $1 billion increase in IT, but the civilian side looks to be going down by about $1 billion. Is that going to affect cybersecurity, you think, or is this going to be just more about O&M and legacy IT systems?
Jeff, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to jump in?
Why don't you jump in? I can piggyback.
Sure. So I think the spending cut on the civilian side is going to be more focused on the legacy IT systems. I don't think we're going to see a direct impact to cyber. I think cyber is a priority. It's certainly a focus of the EO and a focus of the budget. We're going to see continued growth and investment in the cybersecurity side. It's going to create a challenge for our agencies, though, the civilian agencies, to balance where they're going to cut and where they're going to reinvest. But cyber has to continue to be a priority. Jeff, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, that the last point there I think is key. Is in the end, you are looking at a zero-sum game. They're going to have to make some tough decisions, and hopefully the IT modernization can make up for that in some places. But I think, as we've seen with big breaches in the past, it's unrealistic to constantly cut and not either resource upgrades to the systems overall or security, and then act surprised later on when security isn't up to modern attackers.
Yeah. Now, one additional point that I'll add there, Aaron, is investment in cybersecurity does enable the adoption of technologies that do have a significant return on investment. For example, if increased investment in cybersecurity helps move to a more shared services model and more adoption of cloud, which reduce overall operating costs and improves efficiencies and agility, the return on investment for the
You're breaking up a bit there, Chris. Could you give us that last point one more time?
My point was that the increased investment in cybersecurity will have a return on investment, enabling our federal agencies to adopt more of a shared services model and more cloud applications that will reduce costs and improve efficiency. So there will be some return on investment in the increased investment in cyber.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was a focus of the executive order. There was talk about shared services and cloud services and cyber and elsewhere. So Chris makes a good point about how maybe the two things are going to dovetail.
Mm-hmm. We've been making a lot of assumptions based off of the cyber executive order, the creation of the Office of Innovation, American Innovation, the MGT Act making it through the House and possibly getting a better deal in the Senate than it did last time. Does this budget move those policies forward? Does it add anything to that conversation? Does it even complement that conversation, or does it diverge in ways? I guess this one probably start with Jeff.
Yeah, I think for the most part it's consistent. Certainly in the DoD, DHS, FBI. I think it could be easier to find divergence in the civilian agencies where you're seeing the cuts. But at the very highest policy level, my initial read, looking at it today, is this consistent?
Excellent, Chris. Anything to add?
No, I agree with Jeff. Nothing to add there.
Excellent. So, what kind of tea leaves should industry people be reading? Yourselves, what are you guys looking at Symantec and your peers in the industry who are selling to the federal government? What about this budget jumps out at you and really is catching your attention?
Well, overall, I think it's very positive, the increase in cyber spending. It needs to be a priority. Again, it ties into the executive order, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, right, and focusing on cyber. So that's critically important, and it's positive to see that. The other piece, Aaron, that I think is going to come out of this, and certainly around focus on the NKIC, is improved partnership between industry and government. So if we're really going to solve the cybersecurity problem, we have to increase communication. We have to increase collaboration between industry and government, between industry partners as well, and drive to more open standards, more automation, and more integration between platforms. Again, if we're going to address this increasingly agile threat we have with cybersecurity, we need to be more agile ourselves, and that really comes from improved collaboration. And we see a lot of this in how we're investing and where we're investing in the new budget.
If there's one red flag on the industry side, and it's hard to know because the detail wasn't there, but the cut in the budget to NIST, I suspect you may hear from industry folks about that. NIST really over the past 4 years has become a very trusted partner between industry and the government in terms of sharing information, developing standards, best practices, et cetera. So we'd be concerned if this budget, we wouldn't be alone, limited NIST's ability to continue to put out the good products it does in the cyber area, but also to assist in developing future standards and the type of real true public-private partnership. The framework effort, I'm sure you've heard a lot about, but that was the best example I've seen of government and industry coming together, working towards a common goal. So that may hear about that from others as well.
Yeah, it'd be especially surprising as you know the EO and the other policies that have come out recently have all put so much extra emphasis on NIST and the framework and all that stuff. It would be a shame to then see them get cut and not be able to follow up on what they need to follow up on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Congress will say about that, because there have been bipartisan calls to involve NIST further in cyber standards and reg development.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, that's one thing that we have to keep reminding ourselves throughout this process, that this budget in particular probably won't look anything like the budget we end up with. In fact, OMB Director Mick Mulvaney said the same thing to reporters yesterday in a briefing, that, you know, they know that this is not going to look the same after it goes through Congress. And in saying that, they're saying this is just our statement of priorities. This is what we care about. Chris, when you look at this budget, does it look like they care about cybersecurity?
It does. It does. I believe that, again, they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're going to drive the collaboration we need to begin to solve the problems. But to your point, the budget's going to look very different when it gets approved than what's been put forward today. But the fact that the initial budget was submitted with security, this will survive in the ongoing budgets going forward.
And question for both of you here. I guess start with Jeff and then over to Chris. What was missing from this? What do you see? Look at this and you go, we know that this is going to be a priority for the administration. We know it's a priority for cybersecurity to be good at this, and it wasn't in there and should have been. What was absent?
First answer I hit on, the NIST piece surprised me. I think the points you talked about earlier, that we're going to be cutting civilian agency IT budget, which is probably going to impact cyber in some way, or it could, yet we've already, through this EO, put a requirement on agency heads, restated really an existing requirement that they be in charge of their own cyber. So that's going to put them in a tough spot. But, you know, for the most part, looking at just the cyber piece, there's a lot in here. I think this is a good blueprint on how we need to take cyber seriously at the federal level. And the last piece I'd say, it's kind of the negative not being in there. I was concerned, and a lot of us were concerned, that there would be a resistance to continue the parts of the previous work going back to the Bush administration that have worked. And we're not seeing that. We're seeing a continuation of things that have worked. This is a good building block on blocks that were laid by folks before.
Excellent, Chris.
Yeah, just to echo Jeff's point, certainly the cuts to NIST are concerning, because with the cybersecurity framework, that is the framework that's being mandated in the EO. So now to cut back on NIST is really counter to what they're mandating across the agencies. So that's a concern. Mandating additional or providing additional spending for IT modernization and focusing on IT modernization at the same time you're cutting IT budgets in many agencies, again, is going to force some trade-offs. So that creates some challenges for our agencies. But overall, and again, to echo Jeff's point, I think the increase in spending and the focus on cybersecurity is very positive. One other thing I would like to see more of is more focus. We see the focus in the executive order on shared services, but it'd be great to see something in the budget that provided more incentive to move to a shared services model, because there is real cost savings there.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll see more of that as we start getting into the granular detailed programs by agencies that we'll expect to trickle out over this week. Well, great. Chris, starting with you, and then Jeff, final thoughts that you want to add about what this budget's going to mean for the industry?
You know, I think overall it's going to move the industry where we need to go in terms of supporting the federal government. Again, moving to this shared services model, driving to more of a platform approach, sharing of information between government and industry partnerships, driving to more open standards, driving more toward cloud enablement and enablement into the shared services model, I think is all really important. And I think this is a good first step in moving us in that direction.
Yeah, and everything Chris said, and additionally, going back to what you said earlier, even, you know, OMB Director Mulvaney said that the final budget will look different, but the priorities, I suspect, will be the same. And again, limiting to cyber here, this is an area where bipartisan on the Hill and now the administration are all on the same page in the importance of cyber. So however the rest of it shakes out, I think we can move out with some level of confidence that cyber is going to get the emphasis it needs jointly from Congress and the administration.
Yeah, at least for now, the last bipartisan issue, right? So let's hope it stays that way.
Absolutely.
Jeff Greene, Chris Townsend, both from Symantec. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll have you guys back as we get more details on this to break it down some more. Thanks, both of you.
Thanks, Aaron. Look forward to it.